What's up, my dudes? The most iconic motocross game of all time. Yes, boys. It is time I came in here and made this video. So, everybody and their grandmother knows that MX vs. ATV Reflex is the greatest arcade motocross game of all time. But believe it or not, the thing about it is I don't necessarily think that Reflex is the most iconic motocross game of all time. I just don't think that it hit the same levels that MX vs. ATV Unleashed did, aka the very first MX vs. ATV game where it was actually MX vs. ATV, okay? Obviously, you had MX Unleashed before you had MX vs. ATV Unleashed, but this video right here is going to be all about giving the flowers to the absolute legend, all right? I don't talk about it enough. I don't make enough videos on this where I go in here and actually really discuss how amazing these older than Reflex kind of motocross games are. But I'm telling you right now, when it comes to being iconic, like, I don't know if it gets any more iconic than MX vs. ATV Unleashed. I mean, straight up, period, is what it is. I don't think anything else will ever touch that. I just don't. I really don't. Still to this day, boys, I see memes all over the place where it'll show like a short little clip of, you know, the absolute typical classic where you're running off to the side, the very edge of the Freeride map, and it blows you off the bike and it shoots you off into the wild abyss, you know what I'm saying? Shoots you off into another galaxy, all right? Everybody knows that. That's like such an iconic thing that you don't even have to know that much about motocross. You don't even have to be that into motocross, and you'll remember that. You know what I'm saying? If you were just even kind of into gaming back in like the early 2000s, you're going to know that. You're going to know about that, right? So that's kind of what I mean when I say that's what makes MX vs. ATV Unleashed different than like Reflex in my head, is the fact that I felt like there was a lot more people that played Unleashed that didn't even know what real life motocross really was. You know, it was able to capture the entire gaming audience. Whereas like Reflex, for instance, I feel like was a little more, you know, a little more for the hardcore moto fans. It was a little more for the serious moto fans. It wasn't as much of the crazy, wide open, free ride, fly off the bike when you hit the edge of the map, that kind of fantasy style. You know, Reflex wasn't quite as much like that. You know what I'm saying? Bro, look at the sun on this map right here. We got some God rays, boys. We got some Pastrana rays out here, dude. Oh, man. Yeah, that's the biggest difference, though. If I could compare, like, Reflex to Unleashed, for instance, it's the iconic difference. That's the biggest difference between the two. You know, it's kind of like Reflex is, you know, obviously a lot more advanced, like movement and dual stick controls and terrain deformation, and it did a lot of great things for moto gaming. But it also came out later than MX vs. ATV Unleashed. I could die here. Oh, bro, these jumps in this game. Oh, you gotta love it, dude. You just jump to absolute, you don't even know where. You don't even know where, dog. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, this just really captured the fun of motocross gaming. I felt like if you had a PS2 back in the day, it literally, you could have not even known who the hell Ricky Carmichael was or Jeremy McGrath was, and you still probably played Unleashed. You still probably played MX vs. ATV Unleashed if you had a PS2. That's how iconic it was. Oh, Spency boy jumping to the moon out here. Oh my goodness. Oh, hell yeah, Doug. Oh, hell yeah, Doug. Bro, even when I go back to this game, I'm like, why do they not make it like this anymore? I don't know. Bro, you just spend endless amounts of hours just sitting here floating through the sky. I swear. And it's... Bro, these physics are like... They were made so long ago. It just... It's a whole nother level of fun. But as far as being iconic, I mean, I just don't think you can top this. Like, yeah, Untamed was cool. You know, its loading screen track was kind of iconic. It was kind of cool. But, like, I just don't think anything will ever touch Unleashed as far as that like what I'm saying, you like, everybody played this game back in the day. Everybody remembers playing this game back in the day. Even if you don't even keep up with motocross, you're not like a super hardcore moto fan. Everybody remembers this shit. That's how iconic it was. That's what I wish that MX versus ATV could get back to. If they could ever get back to that kind of a level, you know, where it's got that just pure fun factor, that pure, it's just a fun game no matter what kind of gamer you are. That's the thing that Unleashed captured back in the day. And it will always be the best when it comes to that specific thing. And even, you know, if you want to start comparing, like, for its time, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong at all with Unleashed or Untamed when you talk about for its time. It's just when you start getting to games like Reflex that have a lot more advanced features to the game, you know, things of that nature, it does kind of trump it a little bit because it was so much more advanced in the movement systems, like I'm saying, and the terrain deformation and everything else that Reflex had to it. That just becomes a little bit better of an overall, you know, motocross game. You know what I'm saying? But, like, it also came out after these games. So, really, when you start comparing for its time, can I really say that Reflex was better for its time? I don't know. I mean, maybe, but, like, this shit was next level for its time, too. You know, movement, graphical, everything. It was next level for its time, too. But I just think Reflex really did take moto gaming to a whole nother level, but Unleashed did as well. It's like every kind of comparison you'll make to, you know, like Unleashed, it's kind of like you can make those same sort of comparisons to Reflex. It's just they came out at different times. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what it is. You can make all the same comparisons, but I do think at the end of the day, Unleashed just takes the cake on iconic factor. Like, you're just not gonna, and even just PS2 gaming in general, I think kind of has like an iconic factor to it, like that original Xbox. I'm actually playing this on Xbox 360 right now, like backwards compatible, you know what I'm saying? But certainly, like, PS2 was iconic as shit, and just that combo of PS2 with these types of, you know, off-road racing games in general were iconic, whether it was ATV Off-Road Fury or it was like MX Unleashed, or but I think by the time you got to MX versus ATV Unleashed, that's really when it hit the absolute widespread iconic level. You know what I'm saying? You had all of the different Freeride kind of tracks that you could ride on in this game. You technically didn't actually have like a Freeride mode in just MX Unleashed. So that's kind of what separates MX versus ATV Unleashed. Then obviously the ATVs, and obviously MX versus ATV coming together and making a game that was, you know, dirt bikes and ATVs together. That was a big deal. That was iconic in itself. So everything about it, you got like, you know, the PS2, the first MX versus ATV where they were together, and then the, you know, the loading screen shooting off. We'll see if we can do that again. That was iconic. Like, everything about it was just iconic, iconic. You can't forget it. Everybody and your grandmother remembers it. And that's what MX versus ATV Unleashed will always be remembered as. In my head, it will always be the most iconic motocross game of all time. You can never get more iconic than MX versus ATV Unleashed, bro.